On the behalf of Central India Regional Council, myself CA Lokesh Maheshwari welcomes you all in the today's webinar, 47th GST 47th meeting of GST Council. There are so many amendments in the particular meeting of the council, and we have today our eminent speaker CA Devendra Kataria ji with us. We welcome you, sir. First of all, I take privilege to introduce our today's speaker. Mr. Devendra Kataria is a practicing chartered accountant based in Kota. Through his more than 10 years of career, he has become recognized for his contribution and expertise as a knowledgeable professional, advisor and consultant in the field of tax advisory. With a core working in indirect taxes, he has been serving entrepreneurs and various corporate in varied areas like compliance, consulting and litigation. He has taken various seminars in MP, UP and Rajasthan on various topics of GST. He is also a faculty of GST registered with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He is associated with Tax Bar Association Kota in various roles such as treasurer, secretary and executive in many times, and he has served the Kota branch of CIRC of ICI as an executive member of financial year 2019-20 and as a secretary for the financial year 2020-21. He is also prestigious. He is also a member of our prestigious CIRC as a co-opted member in Indirect Taxation Committee, and he has also served as a Indirect Tax Committee member in a council in 2019-20. We welcome you, sir, on behalf of CIRC. Now I hand over the session to our today's our chairman CA Atul Mehrotra ji for welcome note.
Thank you, Lokesh bhai, the dedicated secretary of our team of CIRC, and the learned speaker for today's VCM, Devendra Kataria ji, my seniors in the profession, friends, boys and girls. Good afternoon, आप सभी लोगों को नमस्कार। और जैसा कि टॉपिक तो बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है, बहुत इंटरेस्टेड है, बट आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू द टॉपिक, but I am just willing to have 2-3 things which you should know about our council and the future programs of our ICI, and about brief about our CIRC. So friends, अभी 1 जुलाई को हम लोगों ने CA डे सेलिब्रेट किया है, और आप सभी लोगों को एक बार पुनः CA डे की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं, बहुत बहुत बधाइयाँ। और साथ ही ये बात जरूर एक कहीं जहन में हमारे आ रही है कि इस बार जो CA डे के सेलिब्रेशंस थे वो पूरे देश में कुछ अलग तरह से सेलिब्रेट किए गए, और उसका कारण कई हो सकते हैं, बट मेरे दिमाग में जो कारण है कि एक तो आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव चल रहा है, तो भारत सरकार के साथ साथ हमारी ICI भी उसमें पार्टिसिपेट कर रही है, और 74th CA डे हम लोगों ने सेलिब्रेट किया। उसके साथ साथ जो चैलेंजेस हमारे प्रोफेशन में सामने आते हैं या दिखाई दे रहे हैं, या पीछे कुछ तकलीफें, परेशानियां, चैलेंजेस हुए हैं, तो उससे हमारे फ्रेटर्निटी के हमारे सीनियर्स को, हमारे मेंबर्स को और यंग जनरेशन को भी ये महसूस हो रहा है कि हमको अपने साथियों के साथ, अपने परिवार के सदस्यों के साथ एकजुट होके किसी भी कार्यक्रम में पार्टिसिपेट करना चाहिए, और जो हमारी जो एक्सपर्टीज है उसके साथ साथ सोसाइटी एट लार्ज को, समाज को, जनरल पब्लिक को भी हम ये अवेयर कराएं कि हम सिर्फ फाइनेंशियल कंसल्टेंट ही नहीं हैं, बल्कि उसके साथ साथ सामाजिक दायित्वों का भी निर्वाह करते हैं। तो इसी कड़ी में हमारे बहुत सारे शहरों में इस बार बहुत सारे सोशल एक्टिविटीज के प्रोग्राम हुए इस CA डे और पूरे CA वीक में। एक तो ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, इस सब के लिए आप सभी लोग बधाई के पात्र हैं। दूसरा, एक प्रोफेशन का फ्यूचर क्या है, प्रोफेशन किधर जा रहा है, व्हाट आर द चेंजेस विच विल बी नीडेड फॉर आवर ग्रोथ, और वी कैन से, आई कैन से फॉर आवर सर्वाइवल एज वेल। तो द बिग पिक्चर of our future profession, we can visualize, we can see with the association of the top leaders of our profession from the entire world. So there is a mega event, World Congress of Accountants, जो कि मुंबई में हो रहा है 18 नवंबर से 21 नवंबर तक. Though it is in hybrid mode, physical as well as virtual, but मेरा निवेदन या मेरी अपनी अंतरात्मा की आवाज और मेरा अपना अनुभव के हिसाब से मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि अगर फिजिकली हम वहां पर जाते हैं, उसका रजिस्ट्रेशन करा लेते हैं, तो वहां पर पूरे देश से के अलावा विदेशों से भी हमारे प्रोफेशनल एक्सपर्ट्स आ रहे हैं. उसमें उनका क्या व्यू रहेगा, भविष्य फ्यूचर का क्या है, तो हमारे जो सीनियर्स हैं वो हमें अच्छे से समझने के बाद आगे गाइड कर पाएंगे. यंग जनरेशन जो हमारी है वो ये समझ पाएंगे कि उनको अपने प्रोफेशन को किस डायरेक्शन में ले जाना है, बेस्ड अपॉन द ग्लोबल नीड ऑफ द प्रोफेशन और द मूवमेंट, ग्लोबल मूवमेंट ऑफ द प्रोफेशन. सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस. और ये अभी एक रजिस्ट्रेशन की इसकी एक प्रोसेस है. इस रजिस्ट्रेशन को आप करा सकते हैं और उसमें बहुत सारे अरेंजमेंट्स भी और भी किए गए हैं. उन सबको आप आईसीआई की साइट पे या किसी भी हमारे ऑफिस बियर से, लोकेश जी से बात कर सकते हैं आप, या जिसको भी आप जानते हैं, जो भी हमारे पदाधिकारी हैं, किसी से भी आप संपर्क करके और डिटेल ले सकते हैं. सीआईआरसी की टीम पूरी आपके साथ हमेशा तैयार है और हम लोग आपके किसी भी सवाल का संतोषजनक जवाब के लिए हमेशा तैयार रहते हैं. सो फ्रेंड्स, ये दो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बातें थी जो मुझे आपके साथ विचार करना था. और साथ ही काम के प्रेशर का टाइम है, प्रोफेशनल ऑब्लिगेशंस का टाइम आ गया है. ये जीएसटी कितना बड़ा हमारा फ्यूचर प्रोफेशन हो सकता है एज फार एज लिटिगेशन इज कंसर्न. आई एम talking about over and above the compliances which we are doing right now. So there may be a lot of litigations. आप सभी लोग देख रहे हैं कि हमारे सीए भाई जो सेल टैक्स या वैट नहीं करते थे, वो धीरे धीरे जीएसटी आने पे उसमें स्विच कर गए. और आज की डेट में कुछ लोगों ने तो बहुत अच्छे से अपने को इस्टेब्लिश कर लिया है. दे आर द लीडर ऑफ आवर जीएसटी प्रोफेशन. सो उसी कड़ी में हमारे देवेंद्र कटारिया जी भी हैं जो आज हमारे साथ हैं और हमारे बहुत सारे सदस्यों को ये बताएंगे कि जो 47th काउंसिल मीटिंग में क्या क्या चेंजेस हुए हैं. एंड जीएसटी अभी थोड़ा सा सेटल डाउन हो रहा है, बहुत सारे चेंजेस आते रहते हैं. So we have to be very careful so that we may be able to advise best to best consultation to our clients. That is why we are having the regular GST VCMs or physical programs entire the region, or you can say the entire the country as whole. So thank you CIRC team, especially Lokesh Maheshwari ji, who is so dedicated that he has planned, programmed, and he is managing the 75 programs for 75 days just to celebrate the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And he is the only person in our CIRC team who is so dedicated for this project of 75 programs for 75 days. So congratulations Lokesh and the entire team for having such a nice agenda for this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. And over to Lokesh भाई for further proceedings.
थैंक यू सर. मेरी तो अतुल मेहरोत्रा जी ने केवल प्रशंसा की है. जो सारा काम हो रहा है वो अतुल भाई की गाइडेंस में ही हो रहा है. हम उनकी लीडरशिप में ये जरूर है कि बेंचमार्क छोड़कर जाएंगे सीआईआरसी के अंदर कि कितना अच्छा हम काम कर सकते हैं, कितनी ऊंचाइयों पर हम हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट को पहुंचा सकते हैं. और इसके लिए हम सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत हमें आप सब लोगों की होती है कि अगर आप लोगों का साथ हमारे साथ रहता है. हमारे स्पीकर भी बड़े डेडिकेटेड है, हम उन्हें किसी भी टाइम याद करते हैं, वो हमारे लिए हमेशा उपलब्ध रहते हैं. क्योंकि सरस्वती की पूजा अर्चना तो हम करते हैं, लेकिन सरस्वती ही हमें हमारे प्रोफेशन को आगे पहुंचाने में मदद करती है. तो वो सरस्वती की जो ज्ञान की गंगा है वो हमारे स्पीकर हमें सब लोगों को देते हैं. इनके लिए मैं पूरा शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ. साथ में ही हमारे चेयरमैन सर का भी मैं शुक्रिया अदा करूंगा कि उन्होंने पूरी टीम को बिल्कुल इंडिपेंडेंट रखा है काम करने के लिए. उनका विजन बहुत बड़ा है. थैंक यू सर. और आप सब लोगों से वापस यही रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ कि जो भी प्रोग्राम हम कर रहे हैं उसमें आप सब लोगों का पार्टिसिपेशन बहुत अच्छा रहे. मैं आप सब लोगों का ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा, मैं आज के एमिनेंट स्पीकर सीए देवेंद्र कटारिया जी को सेशन के लिए हैंड ओवर करता हूं। सर, वेलकम यू ऑल वंस अगेन।
थैंक यू सो मच सर। सबसे पहले तो मैं चेयरमैन सर, अतुल सर और सेक्रेटरी लोकेश सर एंड एंटायर
सर, आपकी वॉइस थोड़ी कम आ रही है।
मैं ऑडिबल नाउ? एम आई ऑडिबल नाउ?
यस यस यस।
सब सर्वप्रथम तो मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा कि आप लोगों ने मुझे इस लायक समझा और ये मौका दिया टू प्रेजेंट माय व्यूज ऑन द रीसेंट चेंजेस इन जीएसटी। In fact, being a speaker in GST is very challenging क्योंकि recently इतने सारे changes आते हैं और to cope up with the challenges, to cope up with the changes along with maintaining the office work। और आप लोगों को पता है कि आप लाइन से ड्यू डेट्स हैं तो डेफिनेटली ऑफिस में प्रेशर बहुत रहता है, बट स्टिल इट इज ऑलवेज अ लर्निंग अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर मी एज वेल। आप किसी भी स्पीकर से पूछ लेंगे तो वो सेमिनार के लिए कभी मना नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि इट इज अगेन एन अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर अस एज वेल। हमें खुद को अपडेट होना पड़ता है, हमें खुद को स्टडी करना पड़ता है इन ऑर्डर टू प्रेजेंट आवर व्यूज। तो वो पीछे की जो मेहनत होती है दैट इज व्हाट रियली कम्स आउट। एंड अगेन आई वुड लाइक टू express my gratitude to the entire CISC team for giving me an opportunity on this big level. It is in fact an honor for me to present my views here. So let's start with the subject. Is my screen visible, location? Let's continue. Today's BCM is basically about the 47th GST Council meeting and the changes which it has proposed and which have been implemented in recent time. The changes are vast, and honestly speaking, 2 hours is very less to cover all the changes. So I have tried my level best to cover all the important changes which are important in our day-to-day working and which have a mass implication over the entire nation. There are specific changes which are related to industry specific and some rate changes which I have not covered. I'll just touch upon them very briefly. Moving forward, the 47th GST Council meeting has brought about various benchmarks, in order to simplification of the law and streamlining of various provisions of the law. If we summarize or categorize the decisions of the 47th GST Council meeting in order for a better understanding, I have divided them into 3 categories. First is that they have provided certain clarifications in form of circulars for the provisions which are already in place, like related to refunds and related to 17.5 provisions of ITC where blocked ITC is covered. They have given various clarifications on those topics. Then the decisions which they have taken are also related to the Finance Act 2022 and certain other decisions which have already been implemented and notifications have been issued to that effect. We'll be discussing this in detail. And then third, I'll briefly touch upon the changes which are proposed but yet not implemented and are proposed to be implemented from 18th of July 2022. I will not touch upon them very detailed because notifications are yet to be issued. And once the notifications regarding these changes have been issued, only then we can comment anything on that. So with this is the brief path which we'll be following in today's VCM. First of all, we'll be touching upon the clarification, then the changes which are implemented, the most important part, and then we'll briefly touch on the changes which are proposed. So first of all, let's talk about the clarifications, right? The first and foremost clarification which the GST Council has issued and also mentioned in the circular 172/4/22 is regarding section 17.5(b). अभी इसका थोड़ा सा हम बैकग्राउंड अगर देखें, 17.5 covers ineligible ITC. Means the ITC, although you are using it for your business purpose, but straightforwardly it is denied that you will not get ITC with certain exceptions. Clause B specifically covers that these food and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment, health services, these services are ineligible, that nobody can take ITC of these services. Again, they have an exception to this, provided that if you have similar line of business and you are or otherwise you are using these services as input services and providing a composite taxable supply further, then you will get ITC. Say for example, if I'm hiring a event manager to do some event for me, and he is hiring a caterer to provide food in that event, then that event manager or event company will get ITC of the catering. But if I directly engage a caterer,
Sir, sorry to
देवेंद्र जी, हाँ, तो थोड़ा सा वॉइस का इशू है.
okay.
It is little bit cracking. Our volume is little bit low.
Is it okay now?
Sir, आपकी sir.
Is it fine now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I have removed the headphones. Maybe that was the issue.
Now it is okay.
Maybe.
Okay. So now 17.5b we are talking about that if you are receiving food and beverages or outdoor catering or beauty treatment services, these are ineligible ITC for you if you are directly hiring these services. There's a way around. If you are hiring an event manager और उसको बोलते हैं कि भैया आप हमारा सारा event manage कीजिए, and further he is taking services from a caterer, he will be eligible for taking ITC, right? So here these specific items have been said that these are ineligible ITC and you cannot claim ITC with certain exceptions. Then second and third is their membership of a health club, or then there is travel benefits. Then there's the proviso that provided that ITC in respect of such goods or services shall be available when it is obligatory for an employer to provide the same to its employees under any law for the time being in force. Right? Now, there was a confusion regarding two things. First, that the highlighted word leasing is used between the two commas. Whether it is used for leasing of all types of goods or certain specific motor vehicles which are used in clause A. The board has come up with the clarification that this word leasing is used only for motor vehicles, vessels or aircraft which are referred to in clause A, and it is not a standalone word. So now we have the clarification that if you are having leasing services, say for a building, right, you have taken your building of your office on a lease and you're paying tax on that, ITC will be available. This leasing word is used only for hiring of motor vehicles, vessels or aircraft which are as such who are part of ineligible ITC, right? Second clarification on this particular clause only is that the second proviso which I have highlighted, whether this proviso is applicable to subclause 3, that is travel benefits, or to entire clause B. क्योंकि अगर ये सिर्फ ट्रैवल बेनिफिट्स के लिए है, तो अगर कोई एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉय को हेल्थ फिटनेस सर्विसेज दे रहा है which is obligatory, then he was not getting ITC if we are interpreting कि ये सिर्फ थर्ड के लिए है. The board has again come up with the clarification that this proviso, that which I have made in bold, the provided that ITC in respect of such goods or services shall be available where it is obligatory for employer. This proviso is applicable to entire clause B. That means if food and beverages and outdoor catering is also provided to employees when it is obligatory to provide under any law, then also you can claim ITC. So this is a very welcome clarification and has definitely removed ambiguities from the law. So thereby, time and again, the board and the GST Council are trying their level best to settle down the law and remove ambiguities as much as possible. So I hope this clarification is clear. Let's move forward. Then there is another clarification regarding section 54(3) clause 2. This talks about refund of inverted rate structure. See, if I have inputs with a higher rate of tax and I have output with a lower rate of tax, then I can claim ITC of refund of unutilized ITC, which I have aggregated due to this anomaly. What happened because of this, that many people applied for refunds in case when they had ITC of 18%, right? And subsequently, the rate on those goods was reduced to 12%. Getting my point? Say, for example, in June 2022, I purchased certain goods, attracting rate of 18%. On 1st of July, the government of India reduces the rate on those goods to 12%, and now I'm selling those goods on 12%. जून में मैंने 18% में खरीदे थे, जुलाई में मैं उनको 12% में सेल कर रहा हूं. Obviously, my ITC will be accumulated, and people were claiming refund on that. Then board came up with the the clarification in a circular that this clause is not applicable in those cases where the goods are same. मतलब अगर ये तभी applicable होगा जब manufacturing process, I have inputs, I have output, they are same, तो वो इस कैटेगरी में कवर नहीं होंगे. ठीक है, उस क्लैरिफिकेशन की वजह से एक एम्बिगुइटी और क्रिएट हो गई. क्या क्रिएट हो गई? Do you guys remember notification 40/17 wherein they have given a concession to suppliers? अगर आप किसी एक्सपोर्टर को सप्लाई कर रहे हैं, then you can charge tax at 0.1%. अब गुड्स तो सेम हो गए, मेरा इनपुट भी से फॉर एग्जांपल आइटम ए, आउटपुट इज आल्सो आइटम बी, बट आई एम हैविंग से 5% or 12% on item A as input, but I am paying only 0.1% on output. And that circular said that refund is not applicable, and this provision is not applicable where input and output is same. So again, an ambiguity. This time they have come up with this clarification that now if you are having any concessional rate at same point of time, मतलब आज ही की मैं बात करूं, आज ही अगर मैं इनपुट लूं और आज ही आउटपुट है और मेरे पास रेट डिफरेंस है, इनपुट ज्यादा पे है, आउटपुट कम पे है, then also I am eligible to claim refund under 54(3) clause 2. Right, so this ambiguity has again been removed, and it is again a welcome step. Normally it is seen that when supplying to a merchant exporter, suppliers are charging at 0.1%. There is they have ITC of 5, 12, 18, 28 different rates. They were not able to claim refund. Now with this clarification, they will be eligible to claim refund. I hope it's clear by now. Right? Now, these were certain important changes which were clarified. They were already in place, but by way of circular, they have clarified that these are now implemented. Then we have changes implemented for which notifications have been issued. Let me tell you, these are very important notifications, and please keep them in mind. और ये इतने important changes हैं जो हमारी day-to-day activities की working को पूरी तरह से change कर देने वाला है. And various changes were anticipated. So let's discuss about that. सबसे पहले discuss करते हैं notification number 9/22 CT rate which has been recently issued. What does it say? It says that Finance Act 2022 के दो sections, section 110 clause C and section 111 shall come into force from 5th of July 2022. This is what the notification says. Now, अब ये नोटिफिकेशन तो ये कह रहा है, अब ये भी समझना पड़ेगा कि 110C और 111 और फाइनेंस एक्ट 22 है क्या. लेट्स मूव ऑन टू दैट. ठीक है, PMT9 आपको याद है, इनिशियली जब जीएसटी आया था, CGST की जगह SGST जमा करा दिया, टैक्स की जगह इंटरेस्ट जमा करा दिया, फीस जमा करा दी, और अब परेशान हो रहे हैं क्या करें. Then the government came up with a solution. We are giving you PMT09. आपने कैश लेजर में जमा करवाया है पैसा, कैश लेजर के किसी भी हेड से आप किसी भी हेड में अमाउंट ट्रांसफर कर सकेंगे विदाउट एनी प्रॉब्लम. नाउ फर्दर रिफाइनमेंट हैज बीन डन. नाउ दे आर सेइंग कि अगर किसी रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन के कैश लेजर में कुछ अमाउंट है, राइट, तो उसको वो दूसरे हेड में ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं विद इन द सेम रजिस्ट्रेशन or to the electronic cash ledger of a distinct person. मतलब same PAN different registration अगर है, मेरे पास राजस्थान में एक रजिस्ट्रेशन है, मेरे पास MP में भी एक रजिस्ट्रेशन है, and now I want to shift my cash ledger amount from Rajasthan to MP registration. I will be happily be able to do so now. Otherwise अभी तक क्या था, I was claiming refund from PMT0 from cash ledger of Rajasthan and then paying again in MP. Now with a single entry by filing a single form, PMT09, section 49 subsection 10 has been substituted to incorporate this change and it is applicable now. इंतजार इस बात का है कि पोर्टल इस PMD9 को कब से चालू करेगा. So let's see. Now इसमें ये कह रहे हैं कि कैश लेजर से अगर आप इस तरह से कोई ट्रांसफर करेंगे तो इट विल बी डीम्ड दैट यू हैव टेकन रिफंड फ्रॉम दैट कैश लेजर. ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम. फर्दर दे हैव मेड अ restriction. This facility will not be available if you have any liability outstanding in your liability list. तो अगर आपके पास कोई liability है और कैश लेजर में भी पैसा है तो पहले वो liability पे होगी, and once that liability is paid, you can transfer the excess amount from cash ledger of one registration to another. And we will discuss in detail on this. Right? सबसे पहले देखते हैं कि subsection 3 है क्या. Subsection 3 जो इस बार Finance Act में इन्होंने substitute किया है, it says where the input tax credit has been wrongly availed and utilized. अभी तक ITC availment के ऊपर भी हम लोग interest pay कर रहे थे, but now they have made it clear that the ITC which has been wrongly availed and utilized, interest will be applicable only on that portion which has been wrongly availed and utilized. मतलब अगर मैंने 120 रुपए की या फॉर एग्जांपल 1 लाख रुपए की गलत ITC ली थी और 20,000 रुपए की उसमें से मैंने यूटिलाइज कर ली, then I will have to pay interest on 20,000 only and not on remaining 80,000. It has been the changes have been incorporated in the rules as well and properly explained what is the meaning of excess utilization, from which date it will be treated to be utilized. We'll discuss all that in the coming slides. Right. So this is again a welcome change, that ITC, when it was all not utilized, it was just by mistake, it was wrongly availed, and now we are reversing the wrong availment of ITC. Finance Act 2022 में they have amended those notifications retrospectively, and from day one the rate of interest is now 18% in all cases. आपका कोई भी additional payment of tax है GST में, चाहे वो excess output tax हो, चाहे वो ITC reversal हो, if the ITC reversal is on account of utilized ITC reversal, then you have to pay interest at the rate of 18%. You will find this in Finance Act 2022. Section 114 or 115 of the Act, which has a schedule wherein the notification has been retrospectively amended. You will not find a separate notification for that. Okay. Then they have issued notifications. सबसे पहले notification 14 को discuss करते हैं because this is the most lengthiest and the most important one. It basically proposes changes in the CGST rules 2017, and various rules have been amended, substituted, inserted, and various calculations have been made available now. So let's discuss on that. पहले interest की बात करते हैं क्योंकि interest discuss कर रहे थे. Let's continue with that. They have inserted a new rule 88B, again C. This is again inserted from 1st of July 2017. अगर 2017-18 का कोई interest का matter है wherein wherein I have paid excess tax with from GSTR 9 में जाके हमने कुछ additional liability अगर disclose की थी तो उस पे now we have to pay interest. चल रहे हैं बहुत सारे ASMT 10 भी आए हुए हैं हमारे पास. You have delayed filed of your GSTR 3B. You have disclosed the additional turnover in GSTR 9. There's a difference in table 9, tax payable and tax paid. Kindly explain, pay the interest. You must be receiving all those ASMT 10. अभी तक उनको challenges बेस पे कर रहे थे कि manner of paying interest is not prescribed, you cannot ask for interest. Now with the insertion of rule 88B, interest, how to calculate interest, the manner has been prescribed. See what they are saying. In case where the supplies, see, this is very important, we have to discuss this rule word by word, and that is why I have placed it in total. In case where the supplies made during a tax period, right, supplies made during a tax period are declared by the registered person in the return for the said period. This is very important to note. What they are trying to say is, if for a particular month I'm filing 3B, say for example June 22 I'm filing 3B, and I'm declaring supplies made in June 22 in this return itself. Getting the point? In case where the supplies made during a tax period are declared by the registered person in the return for the said period, and the said return is furnished after the due date. अब मैंने 22 या 24 तारीख के बाद अगर अपना रिटर्न फाइल किया है, तो in that case interest will be payable on tax payable in respect of such supplies shall be calculated on the portion of tax which is paid by debiting the electronic cash ledger. Say for example मेरा 3 दिन का डिले हो गया, so 3 दिन के डिले में right जो कैश लेजर से पेमेंट हुआ है, on that I have to pay interest. My question to you, अगर मैंने मई का कोई सप्लाई जून में डिक्लेयर किया है, या फॉर एग्जांपल फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2021 का मैं अभी भी सितंबर तक भी डिक्लेयर कर सकता हूं, तो वो भी मैंने कोई आउटपुट सप्लाई जून में डिक्लेयर किया है, तो व्हाट अबाउट दैट? उस पे इंटरेस्ट की लायबिलिटी कितनी आएगी? क्या ग्रॉस पे आएगी या नेट पे आएगी? दिस आई एम गिविंग यू फूड फॉर थॉट. कीप थिंकिंग ऑन दैट एंड मे बी वी विल फाइंड द आंसर टू दिस. राइट. So rule 88B is saying that if you have filed a return beyond the due date, first condition. Second, you are declaring the supplies which are made in that tax period in the same tax period return, second condition. Then what they are saying कि जितना cash ledger से pay किया है उस पे you have to pay interest. For now we are moving further, we'll come back to this. Then sub rule 2, what they are saying, in all other cases the interest shall be calculated on the amount of tax which remains unpaid. अब कौन सा टैक्स अनपेड रह गया? अनपेड का मतलब क्या है? They have not clarified what is the meaning of this word tax remains unpaid. This again we have to move to section 49 of CGST. कैसे कैसे पेमेंट करना है? Section 39 which says कि आपको कब कब amendments कर सकते हो. We have to keep those provisions in mind, right? So it says in all other cases. पहले कौन सा डिस्कस हो गया? पहले डिस्कस हो गया same tax period की supplies declared in same tax period return and there is a delay and there is payment from cash ledger. तो आपको सिर्फ कैश लेजर से जो अमाउंट पेमेंट हुआ है उस पे इंटरेस्ट पे करना है. In all other cases the interest shall be calculated on the amount of tax which remains unpaid. कितने रेट से? रेट ऑफ टैक्स, अगेन रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट इज 18% and from the delay from due date to the date of payment. किस दिन उसका टैक्स पे होना था, किस दिन आपने टैक्स एक्चुअली पे किया. Say for example the question I put up in the earlier slide, that if I am declaring supplies related to May in the month of June, right, whether it is covered in sub rule 88, sub rule 1 of 88B, I'm afraid not. It is not covered because I'm filing return for June and I'm declaring supplies for May. अच्छा, ये कैसे पता चलेगा 3B में? ये ऐसे पता चलेगा क्योंकि GSTR 1 में जब मैं उस इनवॉइसेस की डेट मई की डालूंगा, 3B में तो अलग से डेट आती नहीं है. 1 में I'll have to show the date of invoices of May that I'm declaring them now in GSTR 1. Auto populated 3B will be calculated. So indirectly if I'm declaring invoices of prior periods in current GSTR1, it means I'm paying tax on them now, unless you prove the contrary, it will be presumed. हो सकता है कि मैंने 3B में तो पहले डिक्लेयर कर दिया, पर 1 में आप डिक्लेयर कर रहा हूं, that you'll have to prove. But otherwise it will be presumed जब आपने GSTR1 में डिस्क्लोज किया है, तभी उसका टैक्स पेमेंट आपने 3B से किया. So if I am declaring May 2022 invoices now in June GSTR1, I'll have to pay interest on the gross amount. यहाँ पे इन्होंने कैश लेजर की कोई बात नहीं की है. Remains unpaid. Now payment of tax. Payment of tax means either the tax is paid through cash ledger or the credit ledger. Both. Tax can be paid from cash ledger as well as credit ledger. अब अगर मैं मई का इनवॉइसेस जून में डिस्क्लोज करता हूं और उसके बाद भी मेरे पास एक्सेस क्रेडिट बचती है, in that case also this provision is attracting interest on the gross amount. Although the government and the board and the council, they are trying their level best to remove the anomalies, but still in case if I still have balance in credit ledger, अगर ये मैंने मई में डिस्क्लोज कर दी होती तो भी मेरे पास क्रेडिट बच रही थी, पर अब मैं जून में डिस्क्लोज कर रहा हूं, फिर भी मेरे पास क्रेडिट बच रही है, but still I am liable to pay interest. So this question will still remain. We have come a long way forward. जुलाई 17 से जुलाई 22, 5 साल में इन्होंने एटलीस्ट ये तो एक्सेप्ट कर लिया कि कैश लेजर से सेम रिटर्न. हो सकता है आने वाले 3-4 साल में ये भी कह दे कि भैया क्रेडिट लेजर से ही हो रहा है ना, बैलेंस बचा है ना, कोई बात नहीं, डोंट पे इंटरेस्ट, बट वील हैव टू फाइट. So the fight remains and we have to fight, right? So it says in all other cases the interest shall be calculated on the amount of tax which remains unpaid for the delay from due date to the date of payment at 18 March. Then there is another sub rule that says in case where ITC, अभी तक हम all other cases की बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, टोटल 3 केसेस हैं. पहला केस outward liability declared in made in a tax period, declared in the same tax period. Second, ITC wrongly availed and utilized. And third, which is sub rule 2 in all other cases. ठीक है, 2 इन्होंने एक्सप्लेन कर दिए, बाकी सारे इसमें सब रूल 2 में कवर हो गए. Now what they are saying is, in case if ITC is wrongly availed and utilized in accordance with subsection 3 of section 50, जहां भी हमने डिस्कस किया, the interest shall be calculated on the amount of input tax credit wrongly availed and utilized, right, from the delay of utilization of such ITC till the date of reversal of such ITC at 80%. Now, what is the meaning of wrongly availed and utilized? First question which comes to my mind. And second question is, what will be treated as the date of utilization of such ITC? ठीक है, तो यही 2 सवाल काउंसिल के पास भी आए, and they have come up with the explanation in the rule which says ITC wrongly availed and utilized का मतलब क्या है, right? They are saying, say for example, if you have wrongly availed 1 lakh rupees ITC, ठीक, and that balance is maintained over the period of returns which you are continuously filing, then it will be said that that ITC of 1 lakh is not utilized. The explanation says that when the balance in the electronic credit ledger falls below the amount of wrong ITC, मतलब मैंने अगर 1 लाख रुपए की गलत ITC क्लेम की है और at some point of time the balance in the credit ledger falls down from 1 lakh, falls below 1 lakh, in that case that portion which is the shortfall, okay, जो portion है, जो shortfall है, for example it is reduced by 20,000, that 20,000 will be treated as the amount utilized, right? And date of utilization का भी जवाब दिया उन्होंने. आपकी सेक्शन 39 की ड्यू डेट के हिसाब से अगर आपका 3B का ड्यू डेट 22 या 24 है तो एक तो डेट हम वो कैप्चर करेंगे, ठीक है, या फिर जो आपने 3B फाइल किया है, एक्चुअल डेट ऑफ फाइल in which the balance of the credit ledger has gone below the wrong ITC, whichever is earlier. This is very important. See, if you have due date of 24th of July as due date for say June quarter, right? Or we have 20th of July for June month. Now, if you filed the return on 26th of July, तो हम 20 जुलाई को ही मान लेंगे कि आपका ITC यूटिलाइज हो गया if the balance goes below the wrong ITC, right? And और अगर आपने DRC 3 के थ्रू कोई पेमेंट किया, ऐसे फॉर एग्जांपल पुराना कोई आउटपुट टैक्स आपने पे किया और उसको क्रेडिट लेजर से राइट ऑफ कर दिया, in that case it will be said जिस दिन वो DRC 3 फाइल किया या जिस दिन क्रेडिट लेजर में वो डेबिट एंट्री आई, उस दिन ये मान दिया जाएगा that you have utilized from that date to the date of actual payment. जिस दिन आप उसको एक्चुअल ITC रिवर्सल करेंगे या एक्चुअल पे करेंगे, उस दिन तक हमें इंटरेस्ट पे करना पड़ेगा। अब फिर एक सवाल कि मैं जब वापस ITC ही रिवर्सल कर रहा हूं तो फिर किस बात का इंटरेस्ट? There can be an instance that today on the date of utilization balance of ITC is 80,000, बाद में मेरे पास ITC और accumulate हो गई और मेरे पास बैलेंस हो गया 1,20,000, तो मैं 1,20,000 में से 1,00,000 ITC रिवर्स कर रहा हूं, फिर भी 20,000 रुपए के ऊपर मुझे इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ेगा। This is fair enough, right? So at least this we have to keep in mind. The calculation is very important. From which date to which date, and rate of interest shall be 18%. That is for sure. Okay. Now, this is all about interest. One more question which was coming into my mind, which I will also like to share with you. Say for example, मेरे पास IGST का wrong availment है 1 lakh rupees का, and I have 60,000 CGST and 60,000 SGST balance throughout. What will happen in that case? यहाँ इन्होंने ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं कहा कि ये कैलकुलेशन आपको टैक्स CGST, SGST, IGST वाइज करनी है या ओवरऑल करनी है. The rule, the provision are all silent about this. Think over it. If I have IGST wrong availment ITC of 1 lakh, and since then from that date I have 60,000 credit balance in CGST and 60,000 credit balance in SGST. What to do? In my humble view, this will be seen in totality where I can cross utilize the ITC. See, if I have wrong availment of CGST and I have balance of SGST, तो possible ही नहीं, मैं use कर ही नहीं सकता. In that case, I'll have to pay interest. But if it is the case of I and along with CS, see, if I'm reversing IGST through DRC03, the system allows me to make payment from CGST and SGST. It will utilize credit of CGST as well as SGST when I'm reversing ITC of IGST. So this again we'll have to check अगर हमारे पास IGST का credit wrong availment and utilized है या wrong availment of IGST है और मेरे पास C और S का sufficient credit है, then again maybe department will not accept this, but we'll have to fight, as this is the logical explanation. They are saying balance in the electronic credit ledger falls below the amount of wrong ITC. Now, if it is saying कि ITC सिर्फ IGST का IGST से compare करना है, they are silent. अगर CGST का SGST से compare करना है, तो कुछ कहने की भी जरूरत नहीं, because it cannot be utilized. So the logical explanation and interpretation to this clause is, if I am reversing IGST and I have sufficient balance in C and S, then I will take the benefit and I will not pay interest. This is my humble view. So let us restrict it to my personal view. You can make your own view as well. Since till the time the board comes up with the clarification again to remove this anomaly. See, since the beginning I've been saying that they are trying hard to remove the anomalies, but some loopholes, some points are still left behind. Okay, next. Notification 14/22 covers various other changes as well. क्या बात कर रहे हैं? अभी recently suspension को लेके बहुत सारी चीजें आ रही हैं. What are they? Rule 21A talks about suspension की किस case में the proper officer can suspend your registration till the time it is actually cancelled. ठीक है, पहले इनिशियली जब लॉ था तो सस्पेंशन के लिए पहले शो कॉज देना पड़ता था, फिर सस्पेंशन होता था, फिर कैंसिलेशन के लिए शो कॉज देना था, फिर कैंसिल होता था. देन द लॉ वाज चेंज्ड. उन्होंने कहा कि अगर कोई भी नॉन कंप्लायंस है तो सस्पेंड डायरेक्ट कर दो, फिर शो कॉज दे दो कि क्यों ना रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल किया जाए. और सस्पेंशन का मतलब है कि अब आप कंप्लायंस नहीं कर सकते. तो एंड द मेजर रीजन फॉर सस्पेंशन इज नॉन फाइलिंग ऑफ रिटर्न्स. अगर मैंने 6 महीने के रिटर्न फाइल नहीं किए तो नंबर सस्पेंड हो रहा है, और फिर 6 महीने के रिटर्न फाइल करने के बाद हम डिपार्टमेंट के चक्कर काट रहे हैं, साहब इसको रिवोक कर दो, एक्टिव कर दो, तो वहां वो कहते हैं कि हमारे पास ऐसा सॉफ्टवेयर में कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं है, हम कर नहीं सकते. व्हाट टू डू नाउ? अगेन council, the board, the government, they have come up with a solution and have inserted a proviso in rule 21A that if the suspension is due to non-filing of returns and the due returns are duly filed by the registered person, suspension of registration shall be deemed to be revoked. वो ऑटोमेटिक आपका सिस्टम ही, जैसे ही आपने रिटर्न्स फाइल किए, सिस्टम ऑटोमेटिक उसको एक्टिव कर देगा. So I'll say this is a welcome step towards ease of doing business. Okay, so not much to discuss. Let's move forward. Further, rule 86, a new sub rule has been inserted. अगर आपने कोई रिफंड क्लेम कर लिया which you were not supposed to claim, ठीक है, say for example आपने IGST टैक्स पे किया, right, on export of goods, and you received the refund automatically, but you were not supposed to receive that refund as per rule. If there's a contravention of rule 96 sub rule 10 and you have claimed refund in rule 96 sub rule 3 for IGST paid on export of goods, so in that case what happens, the department will give you show cause notice in 73 or 74 that you have claimed erroneous refund, क्यों ना आपके साथ ब्याज और पेनल्टी के साथ रिकवर किया जाए. And if it is an actual case, assessee ने अगर उसको एक्सेप्ट भी कर लिया है कि हाँ साहब ठीक है, ये रिफंड गलत आ गया, मेरे पास ये नहीं आना चाहिए था, so that, so he paid the entire IGST along with interest and penalty if any. अब उस प्रोसेस को अगर हम थोड़ा सा समझें, तो मेरे पास 5 लाख की ITC थी, मेरे पास 7 lakh I paid as IGST. During that 7 lakh, I paid 2 lakh in cash and used 5 lakh my ITC. ठीक है, मेरे को 7 लाख रुपए पूरा मिल गया. I paid back 7 lakh rupees with interest and penalty. मेरी वो 5 लाख की ITC कहाँ गई? वो ITC तो एलिजिबल था, मुझे रिफंड एलिजिबल नहीं था, पर वो ITC तो एलिजिबल थी मेरी. उस ITC का क्या करें? There was no provision to recredit that ITC into the credit ledger, and now a new sub rule 4B has been inserted in rule 86, which says if the department has issued erroneous refund of ITC, the registered person has accepted the liability and yes, it was the wrong refund, and he has deposited that refund along with interest and penalty in case if it is applicable, और उसने कैश लेजर को यूज करते हुए DRC 3 से वो पेमेंट कर दिया. Now he is entitled for that 5 lakh ITC which was utilized in making payment of that tax. Now proper officer has the power कि वो PMT 03A issue कर सकते हैं. ऐसा कोई टाइम लिमिट नहीं है, पर सर्कुलर में उन्होंने प्रेफरेबली कहा है कि 30 days के अंदर अंदर अगर रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन मेक्स एन एप्लीकेशन, within 30 days of that making of application, the proper officer may recredit the said ITC in the electronic credit ledger. Correct? I hope there's no doubt regarding this very simple provision, much needed clarification and provision, and now in place. Notification continued. Now, inverted rate structure, rule 89 sub rule 5. What is this? अभी हमने पहले भी बात की थी इन्वर्टेड रेट स्ट्रक्चर की, कि अगर मेरे पास इनपुट 12% का है, आउटपुट 5% का है, या से फॉर एग्जांपल 0.1% का है, in that case I can claim ITC. But there was a huge anomaly, and in my view it still remains that I was not able to claim ITC of input services. Anomaly क्या थी, उस पे डिस्कस करते हैं. The formula for calculation of refund is this: turnover of inverted supply into net ITC upon adjusted total turnover and minus इसमें से subtract करना है tax payable on supply. Say for example, I have 100% turnover of inverted rate structure, right? I have 80,000 rupees of purchase amount, invert supply, on which I have paid tax at 9,600 rupees. I have 10,000 rupees input services on which I have paid 1,800 as ITC. और इस पे मैंने 1 लाख रुपीस का जो सप्लाई किया 1 लाख रुपीस के ऊपर 5% के हिसाब से 5,000 rupees I paid tax. The problem is the net ITC which is mentioned here is defined as ITC paid on inputs. Interestingly, this definition excludes input services from this. अगर हम net ITC calculate कर रहे हैं तो net ITC सिर्फ goods की ही लेगा, वो inputs की ही लेगा, goods की भी नहीं, because capital goods are also not included. It takes only inputs. Input services are not considered for claiming refund under inverted rate structure, which definitely makes a huge part. So the anomaly was that I was not able to claim the refund of ITC paid on input services, which I have legitimately paid and I was supposed to claim refund, but I was not able. The council has come up with the solution to remove this anomaly. And I must say, the interesting way they have said, उन्होंने कहा कि अब input services के ऊपर भी you can claim refund, जो announcement हुआ, जो press note आया, और जो actual notification आया है, they have prescribed a new formula. और ऐसा नहीं कि उन्होंने net ITC की definition change की हो, section 54(3) clause 2 को change किया हो कि हाँ उसमें अब आप input services भी ले सकते हैं ताकि 100% benefit मिल जाए. The government is not giving the benefit so easily. They have prescribed a new formula which says, यहाँ आप देख रहे हैं tax payable on supply. इस tax payable on supply को they have changed. उसकी जगह उन्होंने ये कहा tax payable on supply minus net ITC upon ITC on inputs and input services. सिर्फ इस फॉर्मूले में नीचे यहाँ पे input services को ऐड किया है. मतलब अगर मैं अपने उसी एग्जाम्पल को वापस रिपीट करूं, मेरे पास 9600 का ITC है ऑन इनपुट्स, मेरे पास 1800 का ITC है ऑन इनपुट सर्विसेज. ठीक है, टोटल कितना हुआ? 11,400 हो गया. और 5,000 का मैंने टैक्स पे किया. पहले मुझे क्या मिल रहा था? रिफंड 9,600 माइनस 5,000 मिल रहा था मुझे 4,600 रुपए का रिफंड, क्योंकि 1,800 तो कहीं काउंट ही नहीं हुआ. दैट इज पार्ट ऑफ माय कॉस्ट. नाउ विद दिस न्यू फॉर्मूला, ये ऊपर वाली वैल्यू तो सेम है एज इट इज 9600. वहां तो इन्होंने ITC ऑन सर्विसेज को आज भी इंक्लूड नहीं किया, तो वो 11,400 की जगह आई विल स्टिल टेक 9600. टैक्स पेबल ऑन सप्लाई वाज 5% ऑन 1 लाख, दैट इज 5,000. उसको उन्होंने थोड़ा सा कम कर दिया. किस रेशो में कम किया? नेट ITC अपॉन टोटल ITC. टोटल ITC अगेन डज नॉट इंक्लूड कैपिटल गुड्स. So according to the example, tax payable is 5,000, net ITC is 9,600, and ITC on inputs and input services is 11,400. So now formula becomes 9,600 minus bracket में 5,000 in minus 9,600 upon 11,400. मतलब उस proportion में थोड़ा सा हमारा refund बढ़ जाएगा. As per my calculation, 4,600 की जगह मुझे 5,200 रुपए का refund मिल जाएगा. Although I was eligible for 6,400 rupees refund, still I am not getting 100% refund on inverted rate structure. So they have tried to remove an anomaly, give a benefit, but that benefit is not in total. थोड़ा सा फायदा जरूर होगा, but पूरा फायदा की और उम्मीद I don't know हमें करनी चाहिए कि नहीं करनी चाहिए. But still, again I will say the fight continues. जब तक ऐसे एडजस्टमेंट्स होते रहेंगे तब तक हमारी लड़ाई जारी रहेगी. And if the chairman sir is listening to me, sir, again I will request chairman sir and president ICI to please give a strong representation on this particular topic, that this is not the benefit which the taxpayers were expecting. The taxpayer was expecting that net ITC should include input services, and by simply amending the formula और थोड़ा सा benefit बढ़ा देने से benefit नहीं मिलेगा sir. Okay, let's move on. Further, notification 14 talks about rule 96, which talks about refund of IGST paid on export of goods. It says यहाँ पे कुछ conditions हैं. 96 की बात करें तो 96 के अंदर वो ये कहते हैं कि अगर आपने एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स पे IGST का पेमेंट किया है, दैट मींस यू हैव नॉट अप्लाइड LUT, और इवन इफ यू हैव अप्लाइड LUT यू आर नॉट टेकिंग बेनिफिट ऑफ दैट, then the application for filing refund shall be deemed to be the date when shipping bill has been filed. अगर मैंने 2 जुलाई को शिपिंग बिल फाइल कर दिया तो उसके साथ ही ये मान लिया जाएगा कि मैंने एप्लीकेशन भी लगा दी फॉर फाइलिंग रिफंड. ठीक है. Now, what if there is a mismatch between the data in shipping bill and GST-R1? क्या होगा उसका? In that case, they have saying that they have added a condition कि इसमें applicant has furnished a valid return on form 3B, and provided they have also inserted a proviso that if there is a mismatch between data furnished by exporter in 3B and in GST-R1 and the shipping bill, the application for refund shall be deemed to be filed when that mismatch is corrected. What is the implication? Implication is there is a time period under section 54 for filing application for refund. ठीक है. Refund application file करने के लिए there is a time period of 2 years. Now in case of export of goods, 2 years will be counted from the date of export of goods, यानी कि जिस दिन shipping bill file हो गया almost उसी दिन से 2 साल count होंगे. Recently 2017, 18, 19 के भी amendments table 6 से in GST-R1 we were doing. The system was allowing, the portal was allowing. But now अगर 2 साल से आगे हमने, वैसे तो अब वो बंद हो गया है क्योंकि section 39 rectification की date is also in place. Now if there's a mismatch and it is not corrected within due time, the refund may also be time barred. ठीक है. So if you are dealing with exporters, be very careful when the filing of GST-R1 is done. The data should compulsorily match with the data which you have filed in shipping bill. This is very important. Otherwise, the refund will be, hold with the ICE gate, and then you'll have to make applications to the ICE gate, or you have to rectify your GST-R1 to furnish proper data. Ultimately, refund late hoga, clients ka working capital block hoga, so nobody wants that. Right. So the basic, what they have done is in rule 96, they have increased the condition that the applicant has furnished a valid 3B. ये condition पहले भी थी. पहले सिर्फ उसमें GST-R3 लिखा हुआ था, but GST-R3 was never in place, and now उसकी जगह उन्होंने कर दिया 3B. But this proviso they have inserted new, and it's saying that the mismatch जिस दिन correct होगा उस दिन से हम मानेंगे कि आपने refund application लगाई. Okay. Okay, let's move forward. Are there any queries? If there are any queries, you can write in the chat box.
किसी भी मेंबर्स की कोई भी क्वेरी है तो आप चैट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हैं, तो साथ के साथ में हमारे स्पीकर उसका रिप्लाई दे देंगे ताकि क्वेश्चंस बाद में पेंडिंग नहीं रहेंगे.
Okay. तो कंटिन्यू करते हैं. Moving forward with notification 14, still it is, see, I'm telling you, this is a very important notification which has incorporated changes in CGST rules, and various rules have been amended. GST-R3B में भी इन्होंने कुछ changes incorporate किए हैं. वो क्या हैं उन पे भी एक नजर डालते हैं. अभी रिसेंटली ये कहा गया था कि रेस्टोरेंट सर्विसेज वाले जो हैं वो अगर ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर के थ्रू सर्विसेज सप्लाई कर रहे हैं तो उसमें ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर हैज टू पे टैक्स, बट द प्रेस्क्राइब्ड changes in the forms in the returns was not done. Now they have come up with the changes कि GSTR 3B में अब आपको separately disclose करना पड़ेगा जो supplies आपने e-commerce operator के through की हैं, and the tax is also being paid by the e-commerce operator on those supplies. They have now in table number 3.1.1 they have inserted new column which says that supplies made by a registered person through e-commerce operator on which tax is paid by the e-commerce operator, those suppliers you have to disclose separately. Further they have said अगर हम 3B को देखें तो उसमें टेबल 4 में रिवर्सल के टाइम पे there are two types of reversal. One is reversal under rule 42 and 43 and others. तो अगर आपका 37 का रिवर्सल है, 38 का रिवर्सल है, 44 का रिवर्सल है, वो सब others में जा रहे थे. Now 42 and 43 में they have included rule 38 as well. What is rule 38? Rule 38 is applicable for banking companies wherein they have said कि आपका जो ITC है उसमें 50% you can claim and 50% you have to reverse. So if you are a banking company or an MDSC, then you are reversing 50% of your ITC, and that reversal is now to be done in this column as per rule 38. Right? 42 and 43 was as such in place. इसके अलावा ineligible ITC में भी उन्होंने एक column add किया है wherein they are saying कि ineligible ITC को आपको अलग से mention करना है ineligible as per 17.5 और ineligible as due to POS provisions. POS provisions क्या है? POS place of supply, right? Excuse me. Place of supply says, say in case of accommodation अगर हम बात करें, बहुत basic example. Accommodation के cases में place of supply is the place where that accommodation building is situated. Now I'm registered in Rajasthan. For a business meeting, I went to Mumbai, or say for example Delhi. I stayed there in a hotel. I paid the bill. I gave him my GST number. Now that GST is reflecting in my 2A. But if you focus on that, POS will not be Rajasthan. POS will be Delhi or Maharashtra for in that case. In case if the POS is Delhi or Maharashtra and I'm registered in Rajasthan, I'm not eligible to take that ITC. So now 3B ineligible ITC will have a separate column for this type of ITC wherein the POS is different from the state of supplier. And therefore, we are not able to claim the ITC. So this we'll have to mention separately in GSTR 3. Further, what it says, financial year 21-22 की GSTR 9 की डेट आने वाली है बहुत जल्द. उसमें भी इन्होंने कुछ चेंजेस इनकॉर्पोरेट किए हैं. वैसे तो एवरीथिंग इज सेम जो लास्ट ईयर था, जो फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2021 के GSTR 9 के लिए था. All those provisions they have simply mentioned that they are applicable for 21-22 as well. Right? Except one most important change in GSTR 9 that now table 17 is no more optional. Abhi tak table 17 and 18. Table 17 and 18 क्या है? HSN summary of outward supplies and inward supplies. They were optional, but now table 17 is no more optional, and from financial year 21-22 it has been mandatory. If you are filing GSTR 9, then you have to file table 17 and it is mandatory. और अगर उसमें हमने figures नहीं डाले तो क्या कौन सा tax implication है? कोई फर्क तो पड़ नहीं रहा, फर्क तो नहीं पड़ रहा. But it can attract a general penalty under section 125 which can extend up to 25,000 CGST and 25,000 SGST. So it can happen. So we have to prepare ourselves to calculate and to disclose HSN summary of outward supplies in table number 17. अच्छा कौन से 2 करोड़ से 5 करोड़ तक वालों के लिए क्या और 5 करोड़ से आगे वालों के लिए क्या उन्होंने बताया. If the annual turnover is up to 5 CR, then for B2B transactions you have to disclose 4 digits, right? If the turnover is more than 5 CR, that means if you are filing 9C as well, then for all transactions, 6 digits HSN is compulsory to be reported in table 17 of GST-9. Please mind that. Table 18 ka kya? That is still optional. And as such, table 18 calls for information of important inward supplies which form more than 10% of your total ITC. That is still optional. But since the implementation of clause 44 of 3CD, I hope this will not remain optional in near future. क्योंकि वहां तो हमें देना ही है कितना ITC है, क्या है, सब कुछ. I'm not aware of the exact because I'm not dealing in that. But जितना मुझे थोड़ा सा याद है, वहां पे हमें ITC का पूरा डिटेल्ड वर्किंग करके देना है. अगर ITC का पूरा डिटेल्ड वर्किंग करके देना ही है, तो फिर HSN में क्या बचा? ठीक है. So in near future, since clause 44 is now being implemented, table 18 will also become mandatory. 9C में luckily there is no change. So as such पिछले साल का GSTR 9C था, that same 9C is applicable today also for financial year 21-22, and you have to keep in mind that while filing 9C, now the certification from a chartered accountant or a cost accountant is done away with. It is only the taxpayer who's self-certifying 9C and filing it. But still 9C में मेहनत उतनी ही करनी है जितनी हम पहले करते थे, because ultimately client will say कि 9C तो भरा तो आपने है, what have you done? Okay, so ultimately in order to be answerable to the client, we have to be responsible and file 9C very cautiously. This was all about notification number 14/2022. There is another notification number 13 which talks about various important aspects. Achha, can anybody tell me in the chat box कि section 73 में क्या time limit है for issuing show cause notice or for issuing order for that matter? Anybody? One person is saying 3 years. This is for show cause or the order? Okay, SCN. 3 years is for SCN. So the section 73 says that in 73 subsection 9 that the proper officer has to issue order determining tax, interest, penalty. ठीक है? और time limit जो है वो 73:10 में दी हुई है. 73:10 says the proper officer has to issue order in 3 years. इंटरेस्टिंगली अभी तक जब हम सर्विस टैक्स देखते थे तो सर्विस टैक्स में शो कॉज नोटिस इशू करने की एक टाइम लिमिट हुआ करती थी 30 months and 5 years in case of non-evasion and evasion, non-fraud and fraud cases. Interestingly, in GST there are two timelines. In case of 73, when there is tax short paid, not paid, ITC wrongly availed, utilized, or there is a wrong refund, in 5 categories के केस में ऑर्डर इश्यू करने की टाइम लिमिट है 3 साल. तो शो कॉज की ड्यू डेट क्या है? Now can anybody tell me what is the time limit for show cause notice? 3 years is for order. What is the due date for the time limit for filing for issuing show cause notice under section 73? It is 3 months prior to the due date of issuing order. It means you'll be getting 33 months. And this time limit is to be calculated from where? From the due date of filing GSTR 9 of that year. अब 2017-18 का GSTR 9 कब भरे हैं? 2020 फरवरी में, शायद 5 या 6 तारीख. तो फरवरी 2020 से अगर हम 33 months, yes exactly 3 months before order. So अगर वहां से हम 33 months count करें, 33 months will from February 20 will come up to February, September or November 2022. वहां पे आपके 33 months पूरे हो रहे हैं. तो ये तो टाइम बारिंग होने वाला है. So और बीच में 2 साल तो कोरोना के निकल गए. So what government has done? The government has increased the time limit for issuing show cause notice under 73:10 up to 30th of September 2023. So now the department will have sufficient amount of time to issue show cause notices pertaining to financial year 17-18. Okay, I hope the matter is clear. अभी तक तो हम ASMT 10 की भरमार इसलिए देख रहे थे because there is a procedure. पहले वो स्क्रूटनी करेंगे, आपको ASMT 10 देंगे, ASMT 10 देने के बाद हम रिप्लाई करेंगे in ASMT 11, and then if they are satisfied with the reply, they will issue ASMT 12, case closed. If they are not satisfied with the reply, they can initiate inspection, they can initiate recovery under 73, 74, they can initiate audit. So in order to initiate proceedings under 73, कोई base तो होना चाहिए where the proper officer has reasons to believe that there is a tax short paid, not paid. वो शुरू होता है ASMT 10 से. तो ASMT 10 की भरमार इसलिए आ रही थी क्योंकि शो कॉज नोटिस की टाइम लिमिट खत्म हो रही थी. Now show cause notice time limit for 17-18 has been increased up to 30th of September 2023. Next logical question, what about the order? Order का क्या? Order के लिए they have said order के लिए that said 1 मार्च 2020 से 28 फरवरी 2022 ये टाइम पीरियड जाना पहचाना है क्या? Yes. Honorable Supreme Court of India has removed this time period from limitation for filing appeals under judicial or quasi-judicial proceedings. और फिर 28 फरवरी से 90 दिन उन्होंने और दिए थे कि अब इस दौरान आप अपनी compliances कर सकते हैं related to judicial and quasi-judicial proceedings. Board has come up with a similar, the GST Council has come up with the similar solution for issuing, for adjudication as well. Honorable Supreme Court had not increased the time limit for adjudication. They said कि आपको appeal करनी है तो appeal आप कर सकते हो, but adjudication का क्या? Now the government is giving time to the taxmen कि आप time limit हम बढ़ा रहे हैं. This time period will not be counted in 3 years time. ये 1 मार्च 20 से 28/2/22 तक का time period will not be counted. अब accordingly new limitations will be calculated. This notification specifically talks about 17-18. 18-19 की बात नहीं आई अभी. 18-19 की भी जल्दी आएगी. We'll very soon see similar notification जब वो भी time barring होने वाला हो. ठीक है. अब आप कहेंगे साहब उन्होंने अपने लिए समय बढ़ा दिया. रिफंड्स का क्या? ऐसे बहुत सारे रिफंड एप्लीकेशंस थी जो हम फाइल ही नहीं कर पाए क्योंकि कोरोना था और फिर 2 साल खत्म हो गए. उनका क्या? The government has come up with that solution as well. The government is saying if you have to file refund under 54 and 55 and for any reason you are not able to file, we are excluding this time period, the same time period from the limitation period to be calculated under 54 and 55. So अगर आपका कहीं इस दौरान कहीं आपका limitation खत्म हो रहा था for filing refund, then you can still now calculate a new date and accordingly you can still file refunds if you are eligible और वो 2 साल का समय अब fresh calculate होगा. So this is again a welcome step. Adjudication के लिए भी obviously department को तो अभी तक भी टाइम नहीं मिला क्योंकि 17-18 अप्रैल to जून के सर्विस टैक्स के असेसमेंट वो लोग कर रहे हैं. तो इसके बाद they will come on to GST, so they need time. So fair enough, I will not oppose this, but this is again, this is very good कि उन्होंने refunds को भी allow किया है, right? So this is all about notification 13/22 central tax. Now there are certain other miscellaneous changes and these have been already incorporated. Okay, let's see what are those. Notification 10/22, it says that as from the beginning it has been said कि अगर आपका ऑटो जो है aggregate annual turnover is up to 2 CR, then GSTR 9 is optional for you. आप file करें ना करें, it's your choice. For financial year 2021 तक this facility was available. This facility has been extended for financial year 21-22 as well. And see if the time permits, if the workload in office permits, I will say that go for filing, at least in those cases where you have certain adjustments wherein you have made supplies in the next year or taken ITC in the next year, in order to give the information to the department and keep that on record. One should always file GSTR 9. although it's optional, it's completely your decision. Even I have not filed in various cases which were like very simple. So ultimately, case to case basis, you have to decide whether I should go for filing this GST or not. The turnover is below 2 crores. So ultimately your decision. Then CMP 08 for the first quarter of financial year 22-23 due date has been increased to 31st July. Why? Because there was negative liability for cash for various reasons. पिछले साल में जब हमने GSTR 4 में कुछ गलती कर दी थी, फिर बाद में DRC 3 से पे भी कर दिया, but then again that was reversed and various liabilities were there. So GSTR 4 for 21-22 is still due for various assessees. तो GSTR 4 ड्यू है तो CMP 08 भी ड्यू होगा. CMP 08 के लिए भी डेट फ्रॉम they have increased from 18th of July to 31st of July. This is specifically for the first quarter 22-23. Similarly, they have waived the late fees. If the GSTR 4 for 21-22 has still not been filed, you can still file up to 28th of July 2022, and the late fees is waived till 28th of July. I hope nothing more to discuss in this, right? Okay, let's move further. Now, let's talk about changes which are proposed in the council meeting from 18th of July 2022. See, again, I will say that there are various other changes which have been implemented. Say, for instance, those companies who are exporting electricity out of India, they will now be able to claim refund, and necessary arrangements have been done for them. Since it is industry specific and electricity exporting companies, so I'm not covering all those provisions. I'm covering only provisions which are which have mass implications and applicable to all of us. These are, again, I would like to say that these are just changes proposed. The decisions have been taken, although no doubt that the changes will be done, but still I will wait for the notifications to come. Only then we'll be able to properly comment on these things. Since the notifications have not yet been issued, we'll be trying to cover it very briefly, and in case if you wish to do some discussion on this, I'm open to that. GST Council meeting, in the 47th meeting, they have brought up with the rate rationalization. The term they have given is rate rationalization. इसमें कौन-कौन से rates, बहुत सारी commodities का they have rate increased from 5% to 12%, from 12 to 18%. I'll not go into the list, that is available online, anybody can check. But on the name of rate rationalization, they have increased the rate of goods and services from 5 to 12. They have also withdrawn exemptions from goods and services. See, जो agriculture produces हैं, जिनपे अभी तक अगर non-branded है, non-branded in the sense मतलब they are not registered. Anybody can use that name. Those were out of purview of GST. But now the council is proposing to tax those commodities also which are supplied in retail packs and contains any name, whether registered or not. See, I'm not going into the detail because the detailed notification is still awaited. Once that notification is seen, we'll be able to further discuss on that. But as of now, what they have said in their press conference, or what we could read from the press release, that is that they are removing the exemption from those goods जिन पे अभी तक exemption था, and these are basic essential commodities. And the government is proposing to remove the exemptions from those goods only on the fact that those suppliers are using a name to identify their identity, but they are not registered as brand names. This, in my humble opinion, is not good. This is going to increase inflation because these are essential commodities which are used by the mass, the entire nation, and ultimately the burden is coming on to the citizens of India. Ultimately, they are the one who are paying tax on every purchase they make. So let's see if the GST Council changes their mind and takes back some of these decisions. We are waiting for that to happen. But till that time, as of today, we can say that from 18th of July, if the notifications are issued in the line they are proposed, the exemptions will be withdrawn. To quote some, like till now, warehousing service of agriculture produce was exempt. Whether that agriculture produce is taxable or not, it was irrelevant. But now, if in agriculture produce is taxable, its storage and warehousing service will also become taxable. With the withdrawal of these exemptions, what I personally feel is that government is trying to make more anomalies and insisting taxpayers to take unethical measures to remain in the market and to fight competition. These decisions, in my personal opinion, again, I'm saying these are all my personal views, not to be construed any other way. In my humble opinion, this decision is not well thought of, or maybe whatever the reasons behind this are. The government, I think, is looking only for the revenue part from this. They are not looking the macroeconomics behind this. These are the essential commodities. If the prices of these goods are increased, the impact will come on to the monthly budget of a common man who's already suffering from last 2 years of corona. The businesses are already down, and again the GST Council is coming up with the decisions which are going to increase the prices of essential goods. I don't know what to say anything about this, but they are trying to withdraw these exemptions, and in my view, it's not. Further, this very important and welcome change. Do you guys remember GTA has an option to pay tax under forward charge or reverse charge, right? But the language of notification, if I'm not wrong, the notification number 20/2017 CD rate, it says that the GTA can pay 6% CGST under forward charge henceforth. मतलब एक बार अगर आप 6% में आ गए तो आगे से आपको हमेशा 6% ही देना पड़ेगा. You will not have the option to come back, or you don't have the option to do both. Because a GTA can face clients. One client will say, I will pay in forward charge. One client will pay I will pay in reverse charge. So how to deal with that situation? A businessman should focus on his business and not these compliances. Only then he'll be able to do his business properly and he'll pay tax. But the language in the notification is such that henceforth that person will pay under forward charge in all supplies. तो अगर कोई GTA है और अगर उसने रिवर्स चार्ज से फॉरवर्ड चार्ज में आने का सोचा, तो रिवर्स एंट्री मतलब बैकडोर वापस जाने का दरवाजा बंद है. Now they have come up with the solution to this problem. What they have mentioned in the press release is that GTA will be given an option to choose whether he has to go in forward charge or reverse charge at the beginning of the year. See, only this line is mentioned. So I don't know what the notification will say, whether it will say that this option will be available every year. If this option will be available every year, what will happen to the ITC? Whether this option is only one time, and what will happen of those assessees who have till now done both things. There are various assessees who have paid under forward charge also, and some people are paying under reverse charge as well. तो ऐसे केस में आईटीसी का भी रिवर्सल होना बनता है. डिपार्टमेंट उसको कैसे असेस करेगा, कैसे आईटीसी रिवर्सल करवाएगा? These are all questions to be answered in future when the scrutiny notices will be received for GTAs. This is a very gray area wherein the department is, the government has to needs to implement various reforms to streamline this process. एक GTA अकेला ऐसा topic है on which we can discuss for 6 hours and still it will be unexhausted. To simply by discussing about GTA in a single line in the press release is not going to suffice. They have simply mentioned that the GTA will have an option in the beginning of the year. Now there will be every year or just one time or what? So let's wait for the notifications, right? Another important and welcome change is what they are proposing is that if a small taxable person is supplying goods through e-commerce, he has to compulsorily get himself registered under section 24 clause 9, right? On the other hand, if a similar person is not registered, is not supplying through e-commerce, he is not liable for registration. So there was a problem in facing the competition. They have tried, I will say tried, they have not come up with a solution. They have tried to come up with a solution कि हम ऐसे MSMEs को, ऐसे tax payers को जो small tax payers हैं, e-commerce operator के through goods supply कर रहे हैं, उनको registration में relief दिया जाएगा subject to certain conditions. One of the conditions which will be there is that he will still not be able to supply interstate. ठीक है, normal जो supplier है वो, if he is not registered, he cannot supply interstate. If a person is supplying through e-commerce, again he will not be able to supply interstate. तो ये e-commerce वाले के लिए भी सरदर्दी हो जाएगी कि उसको वो orders ही नहीं देने जिनका address बाहर का होगा. How will this be implemented? I'm not thinking over that, and it's still a miles away to reach the destination, right? So till now, any queries? If there are any queries, we can discuss on them. Lokesh ji, have you received any queries regarding this presentation? No queries as of now. Okay. So this is all from my side regarding the 47th GST Council meeting recommendations and the proposed changes. And if I have missed out something, and if you want to discuss anything, please feel free to write in the chat box. And one important aspect which I really wanted to discuss in detail is regarding the amendment of section 50. If the time permits, we can have a quick discussion on that as well. Yeah, surely I'll share this PPT with the CIRC, and they will be very happy to share with you all. So I guess we have some time, and I would like to discuss on section 50. What is section 50? Section 50 is about the payment of interest, right? Section 50 is about payment of interest. There are three subsections, section 1, 2, and 3. Subsection 1 says कि अगर आपने returns में declare कर दिया है, and then for the same tax period, if you are delaying the return, you will have to pay from cash ledger. Sorry, rule 88B I'm talking about. Then second sub rule says in all other cases, and third says ITC availed and utilized, right? I want to deliberate further on that. See, this is again giving rise to an anomaly. If I have sufficient balance in the electronic credit ledger, and I'm, say, for example, now paying output tax of previous periods, I should still be allowed, in my humble opinion, I should still be allowed to use my credit ledger to make payment of that tax, and the interest liability should not be there. Further, the interest calculation is very simple from due date to the date of deposit. One more thing, the system of payment of tax is very different from the previous regime. In service tax or in VAT or excise, when the challan was paid, it was considered that the tax has been paid, right? But here in GST, if I have made the challan, if I have made the payment of tax through challan, the amount is parked in electronic cash ledger, right? And what is that electronic cash ledger? It is just a ledger maintained by the government of India as books of accounts. Where is that money? The money goes into the bank account maintained by the government of India, and it is mentioned in rules that the amount will be credited in your cash ledger only when the amount is credited to the bank account of the government of India. It means the money which is available in the electronic cash ledger is actually available with the Government of India. But the system which is in place is that if I have used that cash ledger at a later time, at a point of time, so for example, I disclosed an additional turnover in GSTR 9 because I could not disclose it in GSTR 3B. But interestingly, I had already paid the amount and the amount was lying in cash ledger from the very first day to the date when I debited my cash ledger from DRC 03. Where was the money? Was I using it? No, I was not. The government was bank account of Government of India, which they were interestingly using and also earning money out of it. So when the money itself was lying with the Government of India, and simply it is waiting only for a book entry कि मैं DRC 3 से उसको write off करके अपने cash ledger से उठा के department के consolidated fund of India में transfer करूं, merely for that book entry the government is charging interest at the rate 18%. That interest I have to pay. See, if the amount is huge, the interest amount is also huge. I've been facing these situations, and in my humble view, if we are writing to the government, we should also write on this particular aspect as well, that the payment of tax should be counted from the date when amount is reflected in cash ledger and not when it is debited from cash ledger. Also, for the credit, if I'm paying my output tax for previous period, I'm paying it through electronic credit ledger and the balance was maintained till date, I should still not be liable for interest. These two anomalies are still present in section 50, and the interpretation of section 50 clearly says that you have to pay interest even when the money was actually lying with the Government of India. So I don't know what to say about this, but still we are fighting on these cases. I would also draw your kind attention to Article 19(1)(g) of the Constitution. It says that it is the right of every person or every citizen of India to do freely his business, profession, or vocation. The government can impose restrictions, but they can be only certain restrictions and for easy compliances and smooth implementation. But the government is imposing restrictions on me, on my own money, that the money which is lying with the Government of India, and taking interest from me for the money which the government is using. अगर मैंने उस पैसे का इस्तेमाल किया होता, तो I'll be happy to pay interest on that. Also, there is a query in the chat box that, sir, kindly explain the removal of refund on following goods under invert rate structure on edible oil or coal, pet coke used for many manufacturing unit as input, which will attract 18% of tax. Then this will impact block of amount. Kindly explain the removal of refund on following goods under invert rate structure on edible oil or coal used for many manufacturing units as input, which will attract 18%. So are we talking about the recent changes in 47 council meeting, or this was already in place? Can you please highlight some more in this particular, Vikasji? Okay, so if now they have in the rate changes, if they are attracting 18%, see, these are inputs, right? You have inputs as coal or as edible oil. You have edible as oil as output or input. Coal as input and edible oil as output. Okay, so coal is as input you are using as raw material, and your edible oil is output. Now you are paying tax on edible oil and as output, quicklime as output. Okay, so quicklime is exempt. How much rate of tax it is attracted? 5%, I guess. 5%. So quicklime is 5%. And is there any restrictions on this refund? Okay, so the basic provision is that section 54(3) clause 2 says that if there is an inverted rate structure, right? Like in your case, input is taxed at 18% and output is taxed at 5%, right? What you are saying is that there will be a block of amount in ITC. That I truly agree with you. The formula which we discussed in the PPT, it says that the inputs, the ITC which you have paid on inputs which attract higher rate will be given as refund, but there's a formula, and this formula does not gives the 100% ITC refund, right? The possible solution to this problem is that once your ITC is eligible, it has been credited to credit ledger, you are the owner of that ITC, right? If you have if another line of business where you can use under same PAN and same registration, you can use ITC of one business in another business without any restriction. The only condition is that you should be eligible for that ITC under section 16, and that ITC should not be blocked under section 17. Once you have your eligible ITC, it can be used in parallel line of businesses as well under the same registration. So if you want to face the situation of block of amount under ITC and you're not getting refund properly, you can suggest your clients for diversification of business and expansion wherein you have output liability. This input can be definitely used there as a solution, and that amount will be used. Otherwise, if you are getting restricted refund, there is no solution as of now for that. Okay, there is another query from Tarunji. He's saying, can we claim refund of RCM paid on royalty at 18% if output rate is 5% in inverted duty structure? Sir, the basic anomaly is that ITC on input services is not eligible for refund. जो input services now royalty के ऊपर हम 18% pay कर रहे हैं, that is service. We are also paying similar situation. We are paying rent on plant and machinery, and we are paying high taxes on that as well. लेकिन inverted duty structure में अब जो इन्होंने फॉर्मूले में चेंज लाए हैं, let me tell you, जो फॉर्मूले में चेंज आया है, they have come up with a new formula. This is the new formula they have come up with. यहाँ पे उन्होंने नेट आईटीसी में इनपुट सर्विसेज को इंक्लूड नहीं किया है. अगर नेट आईटीसी में उन्होंने इनपुट सर्विसेज को इंक्लूड कर लिया होता तो आप और मैं भी आई एम आल्सो फेसिंग द सिमिलर सिचुएशन. रॉयल्टी पे 18% टैक्स पे किया, प्लांट एंड मशीनरी के रेंट पे 18% टैक्स पे किया, एंड दैट इज अक्यूमुलेटेड. आई एम नॉट एबल टू क्लेम रिफंड आल्सो. नाउ डेफिनेटली देयर विल बी सम बेनिफिट. ठीक है, जो दोनों फॉर्मूले में फर्क है, जैसे मैंने एग्जांपल में लिया था, earlier if I was able to claim refund of 4600, in that example because of new formula my refund amount increased to 5200, पर मेरे हिसाब से तो एक्चुअली 6400 तक जाना चाहिए था, तो वो अभी जर्नी तय करना अभी बाकी है सर. So the answer is we are today, आज की तारीख में जो डिनोमिनेटर में आईटीसी ऑन इनपुट्स एंड इनपुट सर्विसेज है, उसमें हम इंक्लूड कर पाएंगे टैक्स पेड ऑन रॉयल्टी, but it is still not included in net ITC. So you will get the benefit, but not to 100%. I hope the situation is clear. Any other query? Okay, Lokesh sir, thank you so much. I hope this is it. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity of presenting my views on such hot topic, and it was indeed a pleasure and honor for me. I hope I could do justice with the topic. In case if you receive any other queries on mail or otherwise, please feel free to forward. I'll be happy to address those queries. Thank you.
Thank you, Devanji. Thank you for such nice deliberation. जितने भी क्वेरीज थी वो आपने सॉल्व भी करी है सारे मेंबर्स की. उसके अलावा भी किसी की कोई क्वेरी अभी है तो आप हैंड रेज कर सकते हैं. ओके, देयर इज नो क्वेरी. I thank you to all the participants who joined the webinar, and I thanks to CA Devendra Kataria, today's speaker, for gracing the event and gracing the webinar. Thank you very much, sir, for giving your consent for the webinar. और I hope कि आगे भी हमें आप जब आपकी सेवाओं की जरूरत पड़ेगी तो जरूर आप आपकी सेवाएं हमें देंगे.
Anytime, sir. Anytime for the profession.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
खान साहब ओवर कर दीजिएगा.